Welcome to episode 39 of the Toadstool Boardroom for the week of April 12th, 2023. My name's Logan Plant, joined this week by Chris Driver. Hi, Chris.
Oh, hello.
No Justin this week. He's off on vacation for, I think he's going to miss the next 2 episodes. So
where is he? Do we know?
I think he's in Mexico.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. He's posting some pictures on Twitter. If you haven't seen them, it looks beautiful. I'm very jealous.
His suitcase didn't arrive. So he only showed up with the clothes on his back. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did not see that.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible.
Yep. Tough. But,
wow.
That's an excuse to go on a shopping spree, buy yourself a wardrobe, get some cool stuff. So, yeah, hopefully he's having a good time. Yeah. Pictures look amazing. At KOREIS on Twitter if you want to see what he's been posting. But last week, Justin and I reviewed the Super Mario Brothers movie. This week, we got to hear Chris's thoughts since he missed out on that show last week. But first, just a quick note. We are recording this the day before the trailer number 3 for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is premiered. So we'll have a big discussion on that next week. Are you even going to watch it, though, Chris? Are you watching this trailer?
I really don't want to, but I think
yeah.
What will end up happening is I'm going to say I'm not going to watch it. Everyone's going to be like, oh, my God, you have to see it. And then I'm going to watch it. And then I'm going to wish I didn't.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it. That's usually how these things go.
It is. I've decided to just go all in on being a part of the hype cycle, and I'm going to watch it, and it's going to be fun. So
there you go.
Final trailer. Let's see if it lives up to the hype of that Switch presentation trailer everybody can't stop talking about for Breath of the Wild, even 6 years later. We'll see. But by the time this is out, you already know the answer to that, so we won't waste any more time on it. But I do want to hear, Chris, thoughts on the Super Mario Brothers movie. We'll go spoilers. You can spoil whatever you want. That's your warning if you still haven't seen this movie, but I'm going to guess that most of our audience that listens to this show has seen the movie by this point. So, Chris, what'd you think of the movie?
I can't believe they killed Donkey Kong.
Oh, no.
No. So I saw this movie twice. I saw it in IMAX, originally with a couple of ours. And then the second time was with a group of about 30 of us. And it was a large gaggle of children in my family.
That's fun.
Upon first seeing it, I enjoyed it. Like I didn't walk out like vitriolic, like, oh my God, it was terrible. Like I really, really had a good time. I think I spent the majority of the time catching all the Easter eggs, the R-Wing on the TV, the F-Zero poster in the background of his bedroom.
I missed that. I missed that one. I saw the R-Wing. I saw everything else. And when I was just like looking up like every Easter egg in the Mario movie, I caught every one except F-Zero, which was
it's like not that hidden either. Like the second I saw it, I was like, Logan's gonna lose his mind when he sees that. It was the first thing I thought. Yeah. All that stuff. I spent, I feel like I spent the majority of the time paying, not that there's a ton of plot here because there isn't, but I spent a majority of the time that upon first watch looking for all those different little Easter eggs. Like it felt like a game in and of itself, just trying to identify as many as I could. And honestly, like while watching a lot of it, like Game Explain has like 1,000 videos of like, here's every Easter egg in the Mario Brothers movie. Like I feel like I caught probably 80 to 90% of them, which I was impressed with myself about.
You see the ice climber polar bear?
I did. It's in that same shot with the F-Zero poster.
Oh, that one appears elsewhere. Because that one's like on the like an ice cream store or something like that.
Oh, so it's he also has a poster of it in his bedroom.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I liked the balloon fight car wash. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Punch Out. I need a Punch Out Pizzeria like sweatsuit. Like I need the whole get up.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I just think that'd be awesome.
Okay.
But no, I mean, like obviously it's very thin on plot. I think it's Illumination's best looking movie. The animation is like top notch.
Yeah, totally.
I thought Chris Pratt did a fine job. I wasn't like blown away, but I also wasn't like frustrated at his performance by any means. A friend of mine that I went with was not a big fan of Peach. Thought her delivery was a little dry. I think there were moments where I would agree with that, but then part of me was like, I wonder how much of it was them, the director, saying like, no, you need to be as clear cut as possible with this delivery, so kids are just like able to follow along. And I will say, like, if I were a 4-year-old, this would probably be my favorite movie ever, because it does it moves at a clip. It doesn't waste any time. It doesn't take a lot of time to explain things. It's just okay, I'm going to help you now, and we are going to go here. And that's pretty much how the movie just kind of paces itself throughout the entire thing. But I mean, it was fine. For that, I had a great time watching it. I do wish. I think the biggest disappointment for me was Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. I think that was the weakest part of the movie. It seemed like he was just kind of shouting the whole time. And I don't.
That was everyone. To be fair.
Well, I mean, everyone kind of is, but him especially. He's almost like an Alan Tudyk, where he has such a. There's a video of him on Fallon where I think he can do over 180 or probably more different types of accents from different not just different countries, but different regions within countries around the world. And he prides himself in that. And then he comes out doing this Cranky Kong where he's just it was such a weird choice. And I don't really know why they did that. I think there were a lot of moments that were cringy, like Donkey Kong saying it's on like Donkey Kong. I don't really know why that had to be there. Mm-hmm. I thought the soundtrack choices were a little weird.
The licensed music.
The licensed music was so on the nose of Mr. Blue Sky, Take on Me. It's all this stuff that we've heard in so many different movies at this point that I kind of wish they had gone, I don't know, in some kind of different direction with that. I thought the orchestral pieces were great. I've been listening to the soundtrack. It does a really, if you haven't listened to it, I do recommend it because you don't really notice it while you're watching the movie, but the compositions do a very good job at integrating sound bites from different Mario games into the actual music. And I feel like during the movie, you don't really catch it. They'll literally use like the coin noise, for a beat,
that's cool.
Within a song. But yeah, I mean, overall I had a good time. I'm excited to see what else they do. I just worry it's going to take them like decades to make more of these movies. It took them 7 years to make this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Illumination's cranked out sequels for some of their other franchises, so I feel like they could do the same here with this.
I feel like if they did, Despicable Me, they know how to crank those movies out. Yeah. I wonder if Nintendo would get in the way of the rate at which these movies could come out. And there's also there's a 5-year gap between Sing and Sing 2, the Secret Life of Pets. Yeah. There's pretty significant gaps of time between those. I do worry that that's going to hinder the progress. Hello.
Well, let's talk about that for just a second here, because this is the biggest movie in the world in its opening weekend. It is setting records left and right. We have some of the numbers here. It opened to $368 million worldwide. That's the biggest global opening ever for an animated movie. So in one shot, Nintendo beats every movie Disney ever made, which is that's insane. That's crazy. $137 million Friday through Sunday in North America, $195 million for the extended opening weekend, since it did open on a Wednesday, which is unique for a movie. So absolutely huge numbers. We talked about it before, Nintendo with the theme park, with the movie, with this new Nintendo Live event they announced that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. It's just a crazy, crazy time of expansion for Nintendo into all different fields. It feels like they're finally seeing the fruits of what they sowed back in the Wii U era when things weren't going well, and they just said, we're going to just start planning entirely for the future now. Don't forget, their deal with Universal was announced in the Wii U era. That is pre-Switch, that we were we're getting a Nintendo theme park and maybe some Nintendo movies. This is a long time ago now, and it's finally starting to pay off. And I do want to ask you, Chris, these numbers are huge. What do you think Nintendo thinks when they're looking at this as far as where they want to go next?
I think two things. And one of them I'll circle back to, but the one being, I think the conversation needs to go beyond just Nintendo. I think a lot of it is Hollywood executives looking at video game license properties and how they can capitalize on that and make movie and TV content based on those properties, just moving forward.
The two most popular things this year are based on
The Last of Us. Yeah, The Last of Us and the Super Mario Brothers movie.
It's like objective.
It says something. Yeah. About this space. I think Nintendo. I couldn't get over. I kept saying it over and over again while we were watching the movie, but I kept leaning over to my friend and I was like, I can't believe I'm watching this. Yeah. Like, this company that for all of my childhood was incredibly secretive. The only like merchandise you could get came from a magazine that company sold, and like you couldn't just go into Toys R Us and buy Nintendo merchandise. It didn't exist. And now, Nintendo doing like a complete 180 in the last decade and saying, no, we are going to partner with these third parties and trust them with these properties.
It's huge.
It's huge. I don't know if they're going to go to the lengths. So, like, everybody keeps comparing this to Marvel. Like, just wait until we get the Donkey Kong movie and the Luigi's Mansion movie, and then it leads up to Super Smash Brothers. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. As much as amazing as that would be, like it's not that I don't want that. I think they need to be very calculated in like they're going to make movies that they can then base theme park rides off of in Universal. I think that's the bottom line. Because they want to move the experience beyond just the switch in your living room. They want it to be, okay, go visit Universal and go see all these places. And quite honestly, Universal, the properties that they have lost to various Disney acquisitions that have happened over the last decade, they need to be able to make up.
Be there, right?
The Simpsons ride is getting shut down. There's an X-Men ride, I believe, there as well. Like all these properties that they own, that Disney now owns, Universal isn't in a state where they can actually improve upon any of those rides. They can't make any changes to it. All they can do is like ensure the safety of the ride for the people that are going on it. But all they can do is maintain them. They can't make improvements to them or make any changes to the features that they have. So Universal's kind of in a tight spot right now. And they are going to be the ones that are going to be pushing Nintendo to say, all right, this did gangbusters. How do we capitalize on this? And what other properties do we make so that we can then have the theme park ride, have the, do we make that saga of films or whatever it ends up looking like? I think where it differs from Marvel is that Marvel has a literal vast catalog of stories that they can tell. Whereas Nintendo, it is very much like, it's the Luigi game.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like something you've seen is like for this Mario movie alone, it's obviously not adapting a specific game story because the game stories are too flimsy to adapt. But what it has done is it has pulled in a ton of stuff from across Mario from the 80s to the 2010s. So it's like you can't just say, okay, now we'll do Mario 2 because I don't know where you start with that because they've already used so much. Quick spoiler again, we already said spoilers at the start, but post-credit scene shows a Yoshi egg. Yoshis were criminally underutilized in this movie. Just a shot of a stampede of them running by very early on, and that was it. So, yeah, Yoshi could be there. I think we could see maybe like Galaxy kind of be the framework for the next Mario movie. I think that would be a lot of fun if you introduce Rosalina, have Yoshi there too as a new main character. I think that could be really cool. But, yeah, like you said, Marvel comic fans already know what's going to happen for the most part because they adapt these stories in... I think they're starting to stray a little further than they used to, but they pretty much stick to the source. So, yeah, I don't really know what you do. I don't think that Nintendo... It's very anti-Nintendo to me for them to be like, oh, you have to see these two movies to see this movie. Because name literally one game of theirs where that's the case. It doesn't exist. I don't even know if you'll have to play Breath of the Wild to play Tears of the Kingdom. Like, their games are so separate. Like, there's exceptions, like things they've published, like that it helps to play like Layton 1 before Layton 2 or whatever, but they didn't develop that. When you're talking like Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Donkey Kong, whatever, they're not related at all. Like the timeline of Mario is like a plate of spaghetti. Like they're not related whatsoever. So I do not think it's going to be like building some interconnected story told over 10 years, leading to a crossover movie. That doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't work.
Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to touch on, and
it's gone.
It's gone. Left my mind.
Let me know if it comes back.
Oh,
there it is.
Yeah. No, there it is. Yeah, there's a couple different theories as far as like where they would go if they only stuck with Mario. Like Game Explain has a theory where Peach is actually Rosalina, and that Luma that like is played by the director's little girl or whatever, one of the writer's little girls that like is not misogynist.
Oh my gosh.
That's the wrong word. A Debbie Downer, let's put it that way. That they are somehow going to cross paths, and then like they're going to have this realization that like no, Peach is from Peach is was out there exploring galaxies, and blah blah blah. That could be a plot. I feel like the one that I want is the Mario Land 2 plot, where like Wario is hypnotizing all these people and within the Mushroom Kingdom, trying to convince them that Mario is a bad guy. You can do something with that. I think there's a very good chance that you get the Koopalings trying to break Bowser out in the next one. Like there's so many different ways that you could slice it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's the problem that Sonic the series is already running into. Is like Bowser's the villain across basically the entire series.
Yeah,
and like Jim Carrey's like, I'm done acting, and it's like,
yeah, but what's
lost Eggman?
What's different there is you're limited to just that series. And you have a live action, like you have a real person like playing, this character. Not that I think anybody can replace Jack Black if that were to ever happen, but I think they could get themselves in a position where they go, okay, we've done enough Bowser stories. We can then have Mario team up with insert character here. Make it a Donkey Kong centric movie, and then, kind of go that route.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's going to happen. They're building a Donkey Kong theme park in Japan. They are. Yeah. That is officially happening. There's no way that the next movie isn't a Donkey Kong movie. There's just no way. I don't think that's the one they're teasing with the Yoshi egg. I think we're going to see a Mario 2. I think we're going to see a Donkey Kong movie also, and we're already talking like 6, 7, 8 years in the future. So after that, who knows? But I think that's the safe bet for the next two things.
I do have one question for you that I haven't really heard talked about much. And that's, do you think there's any likelihood of this, like, the game inspires the movie, now the movie inspires the game? What are the chances that the next iteration of Mario that we see on the Switch or next gen hardware ends up looking exactly like the one that we saw in this movie, and they try to like blend those two worlds together a little bit for the next X number of years, like in that style?
I'm going to say 0%. I'm going to say no shot that Nintendo lets these Illumination design characters define their baby for the next however long. I think there's no chance that happens.
I don't think so either. It would be so weird if it did work out that way.
Yeah, I think that they know what Mario is. Illumination and Nintendo work together on kind of this animated spin of them, but I don't think you're going to see these Illumination-looking characters running around in a video game, with the exception of, I think we're going to see a Donkey Kong redesign for the games, because Miyamoto
that's more close to...
Yeah. He was weirdly specific to call out, like, oh, look, Donkey Kong looks more like he did in the arcade now. So I think that maybe he's going to get a fresh look. I don't think it's going to be exactly like the Illumination version, but maybe we're going to see a version of DK that, honestly, maybe he'll end up looking more like Donkey Kong Jr., because Donkey Kong Jr. already kind of looks like arcade Donkey Kong, but in like a modern form. So just take off the shirt and put on the tie or something like that. But yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. Nintendo, Mario's still their thing. It's not Universal's thing. It's never going to be. So I think they'll still, because I think an example of that is they could have modeled Super Nintendo World off what the movie looks like and put those and they didn't. It looks like the games. So I think that's kind of that kind of indicates there that they're not going to merge these two worlds very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked the movie. I liked it too. My thoughts haven't really changed since last week when Justin and I talked about it for almost an hour. It was only a movie talk last week. I did like it a lot, but as we gotten further away, it's like, yeah, I just don't feel the drive to go see it again, but that's okay. I think that my main takeaway that I hit on last week, and I'll repeat again here for you, Chris, is that like I want Mario to endure forever. Like they're flying high right now, but you never know when a series could just go away for whatever reason. Like Pac-Man used to be the biggest thing, and now he barely exists anymore. And it's like, if you want Mario to endure, you got to bring in younger fans to kind of carry the torch of the next generation of Mario fans, and this movie's going to do that. Like it's absolutely doing that. So I think that that's a great thing, and yeah, more kids are going to want Switches, buy Mario games, all that good stuff.
I was going to ask, have you, since watching it, have you gone back and dipped into any Mario titles over the last like week or so?
I can't stop playing Splatoon, man. I am so obsessed. Yeah, that's all I've been playing. How about you? Have you been playing Mario?
So when Bowser's Fury came out, Jess had gotten her first COVID shot, and she was like the first of the fam squad to get it. And she had like commandeered it. I didn't really get to play a whole lot.
Okay.
And then when it was my turn to play, it was like, I've seen this too much of this game. I need to get away from it. So now I started a new save file Saturday after the movie.
Nice.
And I have like 60 something cat shines. I didn't even play for that long. Like that game's pretty easy, but
yeah.
It is very good.
It's very
good. It's super fun.
My only problem with Bowser's Fury is I think Bowser shows up as the big kaiju Bowser a little too often.
Yeah, it gets to a point where it's a little nagging.
Yeah. And then it gets to a point where it's not really intimidating, but this kind of cool flip happens where you're like, oh, I need him to break this block on the other side of the world. So then you haul over there on Plessis. So it's cool. Yeah, I can't believe that's the last new 3D Mario thing we've gotten. It's been not much going on.
I think in the next 2 years, we'll see something.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Oh, and I've been playing Mario Run. I've still been playing Mario Run.
Nice.
I really like that game. Yeah, I'm actually trying to 100% it with all the coins, which I didn't think I was going to do.
It's very hard.
I'm halfway through the second set of coins, so like but purple ones, because there's like pink, purple, black. Yeah, I'm halfway through.
I've been going level by level, and I think I got like almost exactly halfway through.
It's getting hard.
It gets real. It gets to the point where it's like you cannot make a mistake.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, all right, I'm not having fun anymore.
Playing as Peach is the secret. That's the secret to win. She's real good, but yeah. All right, let's move on from the Mario movie to Nintendo Live was announced for Seattle in September. I live in Washington, so I'm very personally excited about this. But Nintendo Live is an event that's happened in Japan, I think 2 times. It happened in 2019 in Japan, and then not during the pandemic until last October it came back. If you remember, there were scenes of like the Splatoon 2 idols had a concert at Nintendo Live 4 years ago in 2019. Yeah, it was Pearl and Marina singing songs from.
Didn't
Splatoon.
they? Yeah, they did the Hatsune Miku thing, right?
Yes,
where they like projected them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the big. I remember the big takeaway from that one a few years ago, and then last year that was our first sighting of that Tears of the Kingdom statue that's been making the rounds of like PAX and stuff. So they don't really make announcements at Nintendo Live. It is like it's a fan convention. I think that's very, very cool. Here's the quote from the Nintendo Live website. It says, share the excitement of playing games together, enjoying live stage performances, and more across a large-scale themed area. Whether you and your family are new to the games, characters, and worlds of Nintendo, or are lifelong fans, everyone's welcome to have fun. So yeah, and then they have 4 sections on the website for games, live stage, photo ops, and tournaments. They haven't announced where in Seattle this is going to be. I would assume the convention center, or dates that it's going to happen just sometime in September. PAX is the first weekend of September, so you can cross that one off the calendar probably. It's going to be sometime after that. You think it's going to be at PAX? No way.
We don't know. We don't know for sure.
I doubt it.
There have been situations where conventions like that have butted heads.
But Nintendo goes to PAX. They go, and they have a booth. I say no way.
Maybe they don't go. That's a lot to put on that team in 1 month.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
They don't go to E3 anymore. Well, E3 doesn't happen anymore, but you know what I mean? Like,
I'd be shocked.
We'll see. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Yeah.
I also think that it's going to be in the same area that PAX is at. So I think
that's fair.
A different weekend, but yeah, this is really exciting. I think that this, just hearing a large scale themed area instantly takes me back to E3 2017, Breath of the Wild, E3 2018, 2016 Breath of the Wild, 2017 Super Mario Odyssey. They made New Donk City, and then they had a huge Smash thing with like memorabilia and like these glass cases, like you were in a sports museum. Like it was like, oh look, it's Fox McCloud's blaster, or it's Donkey Kong's tie, or it's Kirby's hammer. Like I'm so happy that we're getting this large scale themed area again. Like it's coming back. Like that was kind of the biggest bummer for me personally from E3 dying. Is like, man, like I guess technically Super Nintendo World exists now, but like E3 felt like Nintendo Disneyland for the last few years that they were there, and that's just really exciting that it's coming back and that it's just a community event. I think it's a really smart replacement, just brand awareness. I'm happy this is coming to the States.
I think it's very, very cool. I do wonder, it would be cool for them. Like one of my favorite things about like Too Many Games or like any of those kind of conventions are the products that people like, the handcrafted products, almost like the stuff you would find on Etsy that people would sell. I'm always like very impressed by that. It would be cool if they opened those kinds of things up to the show floor. I don't know that they will. But you can typically find, like, there was some guy that was making like Kirby. They definitely wouldn't do this. There was a guy that was making like Kirby Forgotten Land amiibo, like at his house that like look like they're professionally, created. I don't know, pipe dreams.
No chance.
No chance that's happening.
But there might be some cool merch though.
I mean, having not gone to a Nintendo E3 or something like that, like what is there? What can somebody typically expect to do from your experience?
Well, it's going to be different than E3 because at E3 I stood in line for 3 hours.
Well, that's announcement centric.
Super Mario Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
But like I think more about like PAX, or I went to Emerald City Comic Con, also in Seattle. I went a few years ago, and this was I think 2019, I think. 2018, and this was when Kirby Star Allies was coming out. They had a huge Kirby balloon, like enormous, like 30 feet tall, that people were taking pictures in front of. They had booths to line up and play a little demo of Kirby, even though it was like coming out the next week, like you could just try it out. And they had a Splatoon tournament that was like in a separate area, and so I think tournaments is the way this is going to be. It's going to be like, night 1, come watch this Splatoon 3 tournament. Night 2, Smash Ultimate. Night 3, Mario Kart 8. Like I think that'll be fun. Yeah, it says photo ops, so like I guess like mascot versions of Mario, Luigi, maybe Splatoon characters will be there. And then the live stage. I guess you can look to the Splatoon concert. Maybe Splatoon 3 is still not that old. Maybe a Zelda Symphony comes back for this or something.
I miss that so much.
But what I want to say is I don't think this happens, but I just think it would be really smart if it did. And this is in September, and Nintendo
man, he's gonna do it.
Always has a direct.
He's gonna do it
in September. They always do. How cool would it be, Chris, if don't even make it a live show? Just say, hey, Nintendo Direct, Friday, 5 p.m. worldwide broadcast.
during the event.
But everyone there gets to go into this huge auditorium to watch it. Because think about like PSX, like when the last.
I could see them doing that.
Man. That was a huge reaction when that game was announced. I miss that stuff. The Nintendo New York, they broadcast them there at the store, and there's like
I feel like it's a missed opportunity to like if you've never been to the Nintendo store, it's definitely worth going to. But like it's not huge. Like you can only fit so many people in there. It'd be crazy to see something like that in like a movie, like some kind of theater.
Yeah.
With a ton of people just losing their minds over like Metroid Prime Remastered is coming out today. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, like everyone's seen the videos. If you haven't, look up Banjo-Kazooie Smash announcement in the New York City Nintendo store. It's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. We were all doing it at home and they were doing it together. So to just amplify that, with that many more people, it's just really cool.
So I really want them to do that. Like, I don't expect them to have the games there to play or whatever. Like, keep it just a fan convention, but like have it building up to this like Saturday night Nintendo Direct that thousands of people go to watch. I think that would just be a really cool decision.
I think the only thing that would be worrying about that is I think if you did that with the Direct that you had in February, it's very easy. you need to have a direct that is on par with that or better, because then the people that are there, you're going to have people that are sour about it. Like, where's the Switch 2? Like, where's this? You know?
Well, when they announce the new 3D Mario game in September, that'll be their big winner.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be there. Like, no matter what, I'm going to be, well, hopefully, I'm going to a wedding on the last day of September. But, so if this is like September 29th, 30th, I won't be able to go. But any other wedding. Weekend, I should be there. So, yeah. Hopefully it works out. But I can't wait for this. It's going to be really, really cool. It's like I look at PlayStation, and we actually have a question about this a little later in the show, but like, what's something a company's done that's basically like turned you away from them or turned you off? And basically most things PlayStation has done in the last 3 to 4 years have just been like, I've been not really feeling connected to that brand anymore. But like Nintendo, it's like they just keep getting winners. Like we had a headline a few weeks ago, like, will 2023 be Nintendo's biggest year ever? And man, every day that goes by, it's seeming more and more like yes. Like, this movie's setting records. Zelda's a month away from today. This huge event across the ocean for them in Seattle, their big NOA hub. Like, man, this is just an awesome time to be a Nintendo fan.
I mean, yeah, I can say since moving into this house, like if we're calling that, because that was basically the beginning of this year. It was the beginning of this year. Pretty much the only thing that I've been playing are Nintendo games.
Yeah, totally. My Switch gets, and of course, I'm mostly a Nintendo fan, so the numbers are tilted, but my Switch gets easily over 80% of my game time.
Yeah.
Like, not even close. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about a game that's coming out next week, which is Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Marketing is really ramping up for this title, and Nintendo dropped a 6-minute overview trailer. They've dropped an overview trailer for this game before when it was supposed to come out last year. So this one went over a lot of the same stuff, but it's about 6 minutes long. Goes over like the basics of battle, terrain advantages, units, all that stuff you'd expect if you played Advance Wars or even Fire Emblem, very similar in nature there with the different strategies. But they did highlight a couple of new features. You can fast forward by holding the ZR shoulder button, so you can accelerate through turns faster, which is always nice. You can reset your turn, similar to like the rewind function from the more recent Fire Emblem games. There's a challenge mode called War Room. There's local 4-player multiplayer, which sounds, that could get pretty crazy. Online for 2 players. There's a design room to build maps, and there's a shop where you can spend the money you earn in the campaigns to get new characters, new modes, new maps. So there's a lot in this game, and on top of that, it's 2 campaigns. Like, this is 2 GBA games smushed into one, and it's coming out Friday, April 21. So, Chris, how are you feeling about Advance Wars Reboot Camp?
It's pretty wild to me that they are able to make what was a Game Boy Advance game feel like such a complete package. Like, there's so much here that was not in those games, that I feel like anybody that's not familiar with those games, or just familiar with like the disparity between those ones and this one, like it's the value of what you're getting is like insane. If you're into real-time strategy games, of a high quality, like, it seems like this is going to be like a real bang for your buck situation. I also really like the fact that, like, this seems like a much more accessible type of RTS game. Like, if you're somebody that is like kind of into the genre or interested in getting into the genre, this is a very easy way to do that. Having that reset your turn button, like, that option wasn't available on GBA. And just being able to play a game like this on the Switch, it seems like it's going to be way more digestible for a larger audience than something like I keep thinking of like Empire Total War or something like that. Any of those games, like, are really, the investment is great if you want to play any of those kind of titles. Obviously they're PC titles, but no, I mean, they're doing what, it's crazy to see Nintendo doing the Nintendo thing for this type of franchise. I mean, we've seen them do it before, but it's just been obviously because it's a remake, but it's like been a very long time. And it's refreshing. I mean, it is a bit more of a mature title, obviously, just given the subject matter and like the level of skill required to be able to play it. But given everything that has happened with this game and like between the delays and things like that, I think it's a the way that they are reintroducing it to people has been very smart. Like anybody that is like remotely interested in this game, I feel like dropping that overview trailer, like I don't know how you didn't convince those people at this point to pick it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do have a couple concerns about it. I think like it is a little brutal. It's coming out 3 weeks before Zelda. That is not a lot of breathing room for this thing. And just a few months after Fire Emblem, which does have a larger audience and is a more established name at this point than Advance Wars. So the timing is a little rough. It would have been much better placed a year ago had it not been delayed, just in a term of Nintendo's release schedule. And then, I don't know, I'm still torn on the art style. I think the more I see it, the less I like it. I don't hate it, but there's like really nice looking, bright, simple chibi art styles like Link's Awakening, which looks amazing. And then there's ones kind of more that trend towards that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl side of things. And I think this is landing over there. I don't love how it looks. There's like the animations of the commanding officers that like when they're like taking over a base or building something, and they just look like I hate like a mobile game. I hate to say it, but that's just what it looks like to me. Like a free-to-play strategy mobile game is kind of the vibe I get from what this game looks like.
Yeah, I do wonder if they went, not that it's Nintendo's engine to do this with, but like if they had gone with almost like an Octopath type style because it was a GBA game, if that would have been more appealing. I think they're trying to get the attention of younger players, and not that, I mean, granted, I was young when I played them, but like I remember the Advance Wars games getting pretty tough. Yeah, I don't know. You're trying to hit that spot between nostalgia, but also bringing in people that are like, oh, I've never played this type of game before. This could be cool.
Well, I think really they just don't want to make it look like actual soldiers and
actual war.
Yeah. They want it to look like a tabletop, like Civil War diorama type deal. Not Civil War, but
like
just
a Risk
war diorama. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what they were going for, and I think you could hit that. I just don't really know if they did in an appealing way, but I'm looking forward to it. I've never played an Advance Wars game.
So. Have you ever seen what Battalion Wars looks like on the GameCube?
Yes. My dad actually used to play Battalion Wars when I was a kid. I loved that game.
I wonder if they had gone that route, because I feel like that game has aged more gracefully than I think this will. But that also is a little more like I think that game's rated teen. You know, like it's
okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm
excited for it.
I'm glad I see it the light today. Yeah, are you picking this one up, Chris?
Yeah. I've had this pre-ordered for about 2 or 3 years now. Whenever it was announced is when
It was announced June of 21, I think.
Yeah, so almost 2 years now.
Yeah, that's a while ago. Everything else that was in that presentation is out except Zelda, but they're coming out together. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's get into our final topic for the show, which is EGAD's emails. You can always email the show, toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com, or send us a message on Twitter @toadstoolbr. And we have 3 emails to get to this week, so thanks for sending those in. We also have another email in our inbox about someone sent us a little bit late their favorite Nintendo game of all time. We'll talk about that a little bit more next week to kind of preview our big top 15 show, which we recorded, Chris. We recorded that show.
Yes, we did.
How you feel about it a little while later? No spoilers, obviously. It's all a secret.
I feel bad about a few things I did to that list. But one thing in particular.
Is it the thing that I don't like too?
The thing that you brought up, and because I feel like we broke our own rule in one.
At the very end.
At the very end, I feel like we broke our own rule, and I didn't realize it in the moment.
Maybe
I wish I could turn back the clock, and I feel like we should fix it. Like after the episode comes out, we should be like, modification.
Yeah. Because
of this, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we each get 1 vote, and then that is the list. I feel like that's what we need to do.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyways, I'm very excited for all you out there in Toadstool Land to hear our top 15 Nintendo games of all time. I think it's a really good list. I really am happy with the list we walked away from. There's a couple things that I don't feel good about.
There are a few things that are placed higher than they should be.
Yeah. But for kind of a chaotic ranking system that we used with 3 people with very different taste in Nintendo games, I think that we ended up with something that's pretty representative of Nintendo as a whole. So yeah, you'll find out in a couple weeks when this whole thing kicks off. But yeah, that's going to be for the weeks I'm gone in Japan. So that's coming up 2 weeks from now and 3 weeks from now, or when that 2-part episode will drop. But for now, Let's get into your emails for right now this week. This one comes from Cody, who says the shenanigans going down with raid pass changes in Pokemon Go has the community in uproar. What's an ill move made by a company that left you questioning whether you should drop your support of them? So yeah, I looked into this Pokemon Go thing for a little bit. People aren't happy with some of the changes that they're making to some of like the currency in that game. I think they're going to fix it though. We'll see. But anyways.
Well, I mean, in terms of Pokemon Go, it'll determine your vote with your wallet, right? Like they will make changes if people do not pay for it. The first one that comes to mind, honestly, is Destiny 2. Okay. As somebody that was an avid Destiny 2 player, like borderline addicted to it, I feel like they made that game, the Battle Pass system that they integrated into that game, while it has enhanced some of the storytelling they've done, I wouldn't say all of it. It requires a huge investment on the player to play that game at least once a week. And when you don't do that, it feels like you're almost being punished for missing out on content. Like it puts a pressure on you to feel like this is the only thing that you can play. Versus like, okay, once a month I'm going to raid with my buddies because we're all super high levels because we all did it in the beginning of the season or whatever. I feel like it's more digestible that way. I and several other people that I have used to play with have stopped playing because it's just like I have a life outside of Destiny 2. Like I have other things I want to play and do. The other one, honestly, and I think you were alluding to it earlier, is Sony. Like I was the biggest Sony pony of the PS4 generation. And I mean, to his credit, Brian Barnett, when the PS5 was announced, was like, all red flags are everywhere. Like, I do not have a good feeling about this console. And I was like totally in denial when it happened. And the console came out and I kept trying to tell myself like everything is fine. And the more I would use it, and I feel like it's gotten better over the 3 years since it, like the user experience of getting around that console has improved.
Yeah,
but
totally.
it is still not as good as it was on the PS4, and it's like for reasons unknown. Like they've made the experience of using that console worse, and I don't know why. Because under the hood, I think it's largely the same like OS. Yeah, I mean, and just that experience aside, I think a lot of Sony's decisions that they have made over the last 3 to 4 years are very anti-consumer. And they don't make me want to invest in that platform anymore. Like I've shifted over to more of a Nintendo / PC gaming mindset because I feel like, okay, the PC is going to be future proof and Nintendo is exclusive. Like I can't really do much there. But with that, there are PlayStation ports that I'm like, all right, maybe I'll try playing them on PC because maybe they're better experiences. And in some cases, they're not. In some cases, they're great. Days Gone, if you haven't played that game, is one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Like,
on PC?
Hands down. On PC, it is.
Okay.
There are times I'm playing that game and I feel like I'm looking at the woods, like outside of my house.
Okay.
It looks like that realistic.
But then there's The Last of Us Part 1.
But then there's The Last of Us Part 1. And as someone who, like, I have a Last of Us tattoo. Like, it's my favorite Sony franchise.
Up about it.
I am. It's really disheartening to see how long PC players, not myself included, because I did play it on every other platform it was on, but people where this was their first exposure to that franchise, they're basically being like left out to dry because
left behind. You could say
they're being left behind. You could say, and it's just unfortunate. I think it's a bad image for their brand. And it's a really bad image for The Last of Us, because I think for that franchise especially, there was a certain level of prestige that came with it. And for a lot of people, that's now been soured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For my picks, I'm leaving out ones that are like political things or things like that. Like, I used to like Harry Potter. I don't touch Harry Potter anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean that.
So like, yeah, all those examples, those many, many examples of like, oh wow, I really disagree with you as a person. All those ones aside, I'm going with Star Wars. The Rise of I was the biggest Star Wars fan around. I loved Star Wars so much my entire life. My parents' house is like covered with Star Wars Legos that me and my dad, my sister would build every Christmas. We'd get like a Lego Star Wars set and build it. Yeah, we watched the movies all the time. I was so excited for 7. I loved 7. Yeah, I know it's basically 4 again, but whatever. I really loved that movie. Loved the new characters. Saw it in the theaters like 6 times. I just couldn't believe Star Wars was back. 8, I think, is the greatest Star Wars thing they've ever made. I think that Last Jedi is just incredible, and I love it so much for everything that it shook up about the franchise. And then 9 is seriously one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And it is just, seriously, my love for the franchise went from 60 to 0, full stop, like pretty much instantly. I did play Jedi Fallen Order that holiday break, which was a nice kind of cleanse, like, oh, Star Wars can still be good. But I watched Obi-Wan just because I love Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. I thought it was bad. I thought Obi-Wan was not good at all. I haven't touched the other Disney Plus series. They just announced a bunch of new movies at Star Wars Celebration. I don't really care. I thought Episode 9 was so bad that I was just kind of like, all right, Star Wars is no longer for me. There are better stories and universes for me to spend my entertainment time and money in elsewhere. And that was kind of it.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I was laughing through Rise of Skywalker because we couldn't believe. I mean, it kind of, as far as the pacing goes, it kind of felt like the Mario movie. But it was just,
oh my gosh,
like in terms of like, all right, now this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Yeah. But that goes on for like 2.5 hours. Yeah. But at least the Mario movie makes sense in the direction it goes in. Mm-hmm. Rise of Skywalker, there's stuff in there that it's like, where is this even coming from? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could talk 4 hours about my disappointments with Star Wars at this point. But Disney has gone with the quantity over quality approach, I think, with that franchise, to the point where I'm kind of like, I don't trust any of it anymore. I watched the first episode of this season of The Mandalorian. I haven't watched the rest of it. All I've heard is that people aren't very happy with it. I thought the first season was great. I will say that. Hated Book of Boba Fett. I don't care about any of the other series that they're putting out. Andor, I watched the first 2 or 3. I actually enjoyed that a lot. I need to get back to that.
Yeah, I've heard that is like the
I've heard
best
that's
thing
good
since Last Jedi. Like that it's actually good.
But they have this problem where they refuse to get off of Tatooine, and it's like a joke, but it's also like the truth. For some reason, they have to tell stories on that planet only.
About this week, because one of the movies that was just announced was telling the story of the first Jedi ever. So like the origin story of like the Force and the Jedi. It's like 20,000 years ago. And I saw these people talking about how excited they were. And I responded to someone on Twitter and I said, did you know that the first Jedi was born on Tatooine? Because it just feels like they could do that. I don't think they will, but that's just what Star Wars feels like at this point. It went from this unimportant desert planet. The point of it was in the original trilogy that it was unimportant, that Luke rises from nothing, just like Rey should have and did through 2 movies until they turned that all around. And now it's just like the center of the galaxy. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Nintendo. let's get back. Let's get back on topic. That was a good question. Yeah. Besides Star Wars, I mean, speaking of Nintendo, I question my support of the Pokemon Company roughly once every 12 months. But
you mean every time a game comes out?
Yes. Yes, that is what I mean.
I didn't want to go there, but yeah, I mean, I'm at the point now where, obviously I'm very nostalgic for the old stuff, the old ways, Fire Red and Leaf Green, like recently been replaying that on and off, and it's been great. But anything new, I'm just like, you know what? I think you say, I think it was you that actually, you said it very well. I'm I'm too old for it at this point. Like the game is so simplistic in its design that because it is just this like, all right, my turn, now your turn, now my turn, now your turn. It does feel I get bored playing it.
I think I said that on a show that our listeners haven't heard yet. I think we talk about that in 2 weeks.
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah. Pokemon does come up in our top 15 discussions. Because of course it does. Of course it does. Yeah. But let's move on to our next email. This was not a question. It's just a letter from Brett that I want to read anyways, especially for the final sentence, which I'm very excited about. But Brett sent this into toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com and says, "Hey guys, I love the show. I've been a listener since day one. I just got back into Nintendo consoles about 2 years ago." Brett, what a time to jump back on. Nice job. When I bought a Switch because of Breath of the Wild. I had all Nintendo consoles up to the N64 and then migrated to PlayStation, Xbox, etc., while also taking a break from gaming altogether somewhere along the way. With that being said, I've missed out on a lot of Nintendo titles over those years. After playing Breath of the Wild, I then wanted to play all the Zelda games that I missed. Being a purist, I started to buy those older consoles that I missed. That's GameCube, Wii, Wii U, 3DS. Man, my man bought a Wii U.
You bought all of them?
Yeah. Just
good
to play
for
the
you.
Zelda titles I had never played. I know, this is so awesome. Like, this is, you're living out
like
the
you're
dream
going
of, like,
all in at this point.
If I could erase the memory of all these games.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
The more retro consoles and games I was collecting started to feel more and more like an addiction. Brett, don't buy an amiibo. Don't do it. It all started with me just wanting to play retro Zelda, then later became Metroid, and so on. The one retro console that I bought during this process but didn't use much was the 3DS. I've never been much into handheld gaming, so I didn't mess with it too much. But then with the shutting down of the eShop and the trimming of the handheld, I bought some physical games and played what I'd been missing since 2011. Now I cannot stop playing it. I love this email. It's so great.
This is so good.
I play it more than my Switch and can't get enough of it. Thank you for all the 3DS recommendations over the last couple of episodes. You've all been spot on. Keep up the good work on the show, and please continue to give retro recommendations. Well, then I emailed Brett back because he didn't mention what he was playing in this email. So I asked him what he was playing, Brett. And Brett says, I'm playing Planet Robobot, which is amazing. Awesome choice. Rhythm Heaven and Triforce Heroes at the moment. I know Triforce Heroes has a lot of hate, but I'm really enjoying it. I had to join a Discord channel to find people to play with, but when playing with others, I've had a blast. And then Brett sent one final email after that one that says, forgot to mention that you talked me into getting Kid Icarus Uprising, but I haven't started it yet.
Okay.
You're in for a treat, my friend.
We'll see.
For an outstanding treat. Here's a little tip, though. Watch the video version on YouTube right now for what I'm about to show you. I'm going to use my phone.
He's going to show you how to not get carpal tunnel when you play this game.
Don't get carpal tunnel playing Kid Icarus Uprising. Okay, so this is my phone. Imagine this is the bottom half of your 3DS. You take your ring finger and your pinky finger, and you put the phone in between your ring finger and your middle finger, and then you turn it into a claw like this. Yeah, and then that's how you hold the system. That's terrible. And then you move the thumbstick. Wait, it's hard to do. And then you tuck your top two fingers behind the top screen. So if I had a second screen here, you're resting it on. And then you can use the L button with your pointer finger, move the control stick with your thumb, and then you do the same thing on the right side with your back two fingers, and then you grip the stylus, and then you play like that. And it's perfect. And your hands won't cramp.
Logan,
you can play like that
Logan, he says, Kid Icarus Uprising came with a stand.
Yeah, that's
specifically to solve this problem.
I didn't use this.
Is that not okay?
Did you use like the Wii remote, like the rubber grip on your Wii remotes that it came with?
What, the condom thing?
Yes, I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
I said it. That's what it That's what it is. Yeah. We're not. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Yeah, don't use the stand. Don't use the stand. But I'm so glad that you bought Kid Icarus Uprising. I actually was just playing that the other day, and it's still so great. That game is so good. Also, Planet Robobot. I love Rhythm Heaven, Triforce Heroes. I also just replayed Triforce Heroes. I played that game start to finish with a couple friends this year, and it was awesome. I've played it through all the way twice, and if you have two people to play with that you can talk with, like over the phone, that game rocks. That game is so good, and I think got a lot of undeserved hate just because it wasn't what people wanted at the time. But there's so many other Zelda games. Like, it's fine to have something like that. What else should we recommend? I feel like we've recommended a lot of
for 3DS. If you haven't played Super Mario 3D Land, that game is a masterpiece.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a giveaway, but there's actually
closed now, so physical only.
Yeah, physical only. There was a hold on, vamp for a second. Hold on.
Okay, you should play Ace Attorney. The Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. It's on all modern platforms, but if you got out of gaming for a long time, you probably missed it. It's the best murder mystery of all time, my favorite game series of all time, by the Phoenix Wright trilogy on the Nintendo Switch eShop today, and become obsessed with Ace Attorney like me.
If you're a fan of the Mario Golf franchise, I actually think that the Mario Golf on 3DS, I think it's World Tour. World Tour is like the best. It's the best Mario Golf that they put out. Next to Toadstool Tour. My biggest gripe with it is that it's on the 3DS and I can't play it on a TV. But that game is excellent. I think there's a lot of really unique courses in there. The character roster is like very, very expansive. There is DLC for that game, but you can't actually get it now because the eShop is closed, RIP. But there's some cool courses in that. Like there's a Galaxy course in there. I think you could play as Rosalina and get Gold Mario. Why didn't you tell me
this 2 weeks ago? I would have bought these. I don't have these, and now they're gone. That's really cool.
Puzzle. What was this one? The Mario Puzzle Dragons game, whatever that is. Puzzle game. Puzzle and Dragons Mario Edition or whatever. That game is very fun. It's very addictive if you're into puzzle games. Jess and I used to fight over it.
Huge mobile game in Japan. Like it makes millions of dollars a month.
And here's the one I was really looking for. Oh, the whole title isn't on here. There are two Adventure Time. If you're an Adventure Time fan, there are two Adventure Time games on the 3DS made by WayForward. One of them is Explore the Dungeon because I don't know. That game is terrible. It's a Diablo clone and you don't want to buy it. The other one that you do want to get is called Ice King Stole My Garbage or something. It's a 2D action platformer.
Hey, Ice King. Wait, no,
that might be it.
Let's see. Hey, Ice King, why'd you steal our garbage?
Yes. That's actually a surprisingly good game. Like, I really enjoyed my time with it. Granted, it was 10 years ago, but if you're into 2D platformers and you're a fan of WayForward, it's probably pretty cheap, and I recommend it.
Yes, it'll look like $16 on eBay.
There's also a regular show game, but I don't know if I actually ever played it. But it's very similar.
Well, Brett, I'm really happy that you emailed in and are exploring retro Nintendo. That sounds like a dream. That just sounds amazing. Like the GameCube, Wii U, like these libraries are so ingrained in my head, and that you're getting to go and explore. I mean, GameCube and 3DS, two of my favorite libraries ever. So
absolutely,
that's awesome. All right, let's move on to our last question. This one comes from Johnny. And Johnny says, with the rumors of Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door coming to Switch, or a successor, I didn't put this in the news because we don't like to talk about rumors, but it's in a question.
But here we are.
We'll let it fly. Would you guys prefer to see a remake or a remaster of this GameCube classic? What improvements or new additions would you like to see implemented? Thanks, love the pod, Johnny from Philly. And then there's a PS.
Philly! What's up, Johnny?
About this. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll go to De Alessandro sometime, get a cheesesteak. It'll be great.
We talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago, that Nintendo doesn't really do remakes. There's just not that many of them.
There aren't that many of them.
It's usually ports or remasters.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about this weekend because I was playing Super Mario All-Stars for a little bit after seeing the Mario movie. I feel like if they were to do 1,000-Year Door, it would behoove them to do a remake of it.
Okay.
I say that because while I think the bones of 1,000-Year, and this is a game I have not played. I've only watched my wife play this game. I haven't done it myself, but from what I've seen of it, I think the cast of characters are very good. I think the locales are very unique and all that good stuff. So like the set dressing is there. I think that the traditional RPG mechanics of that game are just that. They're very traditional. I think you could do something in there to make some of those moment-to-moment combat sequences a little more exciting than just, I'm going to press A.
No, you have the timing-based stuff, like hold the hammer, like mash the button to power up the super. It's like Mother 3 or Mario RPG.
I also like
Mario and Luigi games.
I am of a very, I feel like everything I say on the show is very controversial. I feel like I like what they did with Origami King because that mechanic was different.
Yeah.
It was different. I'm not saying they have to completely, like, and in that case, they literally did reinvent the wheel. But I think doing something along those lines, even in spurts, I don't think you have to do it for the entirety of the game, because I think in Origami King, it was kind of overkill. Yeah. But it would be cool if it was like, all right, for this boss fight, you're going to do this. You're going to have this type of combat, and not just the same, flat pane that happens through all of Thousand Year Door.
I want them to, they shouldn't touch it. I think this should be a straight HD remaster. Throw it out, and people will love it. And here's why. Here's my little monologue. Nintendo has not made a good Mario RPG since Thousand Year Door. 20 years ago. That was the last one. That was the last time a good Mario RPG came out.
I don't know that I agree with you.
Okay, what? Sorry, I'm forgetting about like Bowser's Inside Story. A few years.
No, I haven't even played those. No, I really like Super Paper Mario when it came out.
That's not an RPG. That's a platformer.
Yeah, maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah.
That's probably why I like it.
RPG is not a platformer. Sticker Star, Color Splash, Origami King. Sticker Star has no charms. Color Splash and Origami King have like funny writing and are very pretty, but the combat's terrible and it doesn't matter because there's no experience points, right? You just get coins, and then you use your coins to buy items, and then you use the items to get more coins. So the battles are literally purposeless. There is not a point to battle anything but the bosses in Paper Mario Color Splash. And Origami King, the ring-based combat was interesting. It got old, especially considering it wasn't necessary, and you could just flee from those encounters, and really, So
I wonder if they haven't gone back to that traditional format in favor of accessibility.
Yeah.
Like, in order to make more people, people see a Mario game is out there, we're going to make it easier for everyone. Like, I wonder if that's why. Because, like, Thousand Year Door does have some, like, tougher moments in it.
Mario plus Rabbids exists, though. That exists.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
So, like, why are we letting Ubisoft outclass Nintendo in making real Mario RPGs? Like, man, Mario...
I hadn't considered that, yeah.
And then here's another thing. In a post-Thousand Year Door was when, like, Nintendo started really cracking down on how cool Toads and stuff could actually look. Like, in the Super Mario Brothers movie, there's an old Toad. Why isn't that Toadsworth? Like, they just aren't doing the same type of things with their character design that they used to be allowed to do. Like, the characters in Paper Mario...
I feel like there's a lot... Sorry, I feel like there's a lot in Thousand Year Door that they got away with that... like higher level executives at Nintendo looked at and were like, this is not okay. But the game had already shipped.
They live in like a filthy rundown town, like about getting, like, pickpocketed, and like it's like crazy,
and with pirates and stuff, and
it's awesome. And that's why I just want them to remaster it. I don't want, like, Mario, we talked about it, Mario's gotten sterile in a lot of ways. Don't touch Thousand Year Door and like spray that aerosol spray all over it to clean it up. Like, leave it as it is, because I love the charm of the GameCube era. We've talked about that a lot. I think it's awesome. They tried weird, wacky stuff. Thousand Year Door is a really cool departure from the first Paper Mario, like, in a lot of ways, in terms of like tone and character design. Just don't touch it. It's good. It's still a really good game, and I just want to see it in HD.
I don't think they'll do it.
Me neither. I don't think it's...
I want to be wrong, but I feel like they won't do it for the same reason that Mother 3 has never been localized. Like, it's just over the line for them.
Now, on the other hand, what I think is actually going to happen is I think we're going to see a new Paper Mario that maybe returns to this RPG vein. Alpha Dream went bankrupt. Mario and Luigi doesn't exist anymore. We haven't seen a Mario and Luigi since the 3DS. Intelligent Systems... We recently learned that through an interview that Engage was made around the same time as Three Houses. Like these games were in co-development for a while, and Engage was sitting on a shelf like we thought it was. It was sitting on a shelf for like a year at least. I think Intelligent System is working on Paper Mario RPG. I think that's going to be their next game, and I think it's going to harken back to an actual RPG. But
again, I will ask the question that everyone hates to hear. At what point do we stop putting new games on the Switch?
Well, maybe it's for the next console.
It could be. It could be.
But I think that's what.
But you don't launch a new Nintendo console with a Paper Mario game.
Oh, I don't think it's that far along. I think the game, a year in development, still maybe 2 years away. Next system next year. This could be a year 2 type of thing. Well, I don't know. Mario Rabbids came out in year 1. Came out 5 months after launch. So who knows?
Oh yeah, no, I think you could do like a 6-month gap. I don't think you do it day 1.
Yeah, me neither. But I think we're going to see a new Paper Mario that people want to see. Yeah. All right, and then P.S. from Johnny. Logan, I saw you tweet about wanting to get a competitive Splatoon 3 team going. You should make a Discord for the boardroom listeners who play competitive. I'm laughing because we tried that once and it went so poorly.
Well, that wasn't our fault.
Yeah.
That wasn't our fault. So for those that aren't aware, we made a Discord. We have a Discord.
Yeah.
That we basically just use internally to send memes and schedule the show and stuff like that. But we did make a Toadstool Boardroom football. We are in it right now. A football club for Mario Strikers Battle League. And then we learned shortly thereafter that game's release how terrible the online experience was. So we never did anything with it, but there's like 3 of my friends in there.
Yeah. And one
every now and then chime in.
Every 6 months.
He's like, hey, any new Mario games out there that are pretty good?
I even posted I posted in Toadstool FC as a joke, and I was like, I just want a really close online match. I lied. It wasn't true. But I posted that a year after the game came out, and it was funny. Yeah. All right. It hasn't even been a year. Man. That's crazy. Anyways, back to this PS. I was S+ for all modes in Season 2 and Splatoon 2, and have been wanting to play more competitive with a group in Splatoon 3. Yeah, so I have been just right back on the Splatoon 3 train. Really, it started with the Splatfest a couple weekends ago, the Nessie versus Aliens versus Bigfoot. I started playing, and I was like, man, I did not play this game enough when it came out. I think it was the holidays. I went home to see family, kind of fell off, and didn't pick it back up when I came back. And that's just kind of how these ongoing games go sometimes. I've been playing. I'm trying to get up to S rank myself before I try and actually get serious about competing, because I did some research, and all these people who are free agents looking for teams are like, oh, I'm rank S plus 12 and I main this and I average 10 kills over 3 minutes. And I'm not there yet. So I was at rank C when I started, less than a week ago. I'm now rank A plus. So I have been on the grindstone, increased 2 letter grades, and man, it's so good. That game is so good, man. Chris, you got to jump back in with me. Get up to rank A+.
No, I'm afraid to.
Yeah, it is. It's just.
Awesome. I got I was very into it for that first 3 weeks. It was all I did, and then I came up for air and was like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of felt like that. I've been staying up way too late playing ranked. I know it's time to go to bed when I feel like I'm starting to slow down at processing what's happening.
It is the antithesis of just one more game, because it's so easy to get, because the games are short enough and it's pretty easy to get in and out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in ranked play, there's a thing called series, which is you try to win 5 before you lose 3. So I'm just one more series. That could be 7 matches if it goes the distance. And ranked matches are longer than Turf Wars. So we're talking an hour. It's a lot, but it's been a ton of fun. So, yeah, Johnny, a couple other boardroom fans have reached out to me about playing.
I think it would be wise for us to open the boardroom.
Yes, we should.
To the larger audience. We'll keep an eye on Twitter. Logan and I will discuss this off air. Yeah. How we do this, how we make this possible. But
make a Splatoon.
if you want to play Splatoon with us, that would get me back in. Mm-hmm. Is if it was but these people have to understand. I'm a homeowner now. I'm a dad to be, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have all these hours upon hours to play Splatoon. I will bring the team down. So just be aware that that's what you're getting into. Logan will carry us, but
and it's tough because I'm into this at the worst time. because I'm leaving for 3 weeks, and then it's all Zelda, baby, when I get back. So there might be a pause on this. We'll see. But, yeah, I'm thinking about it. But right now I'm trying to improve.
If you want this, tweet at us. We'll figure it out. Yeah. But when Zelda hits, nobody's gonna want to play Splatoon.
Speaking of Zelda, I can't wait to see that trailer for us tomorrow. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll talk about that next week. I said that last week that Mitchell Saltzman from IGN would be joining us this week. He is also a father, and he ended up being on baby duty tonight. But he'll be with us next week to talk about that Zelda trailer. I think we're going to make it a Zelda-themed show next week because it's the last show we're recording before Zelda comes out. So maybe
I'll get my tunic out of the crawl space.
Tunic?
Mm-hmm. I'll get my tunic out of the. No, I'm going to get my tunic out of the crawl space. Yeah, my cap. Maybe.
Okay, we'll find out next week. That's a tease. That's a tease to the video version of next week's show, because I won't mention it on the audio. No, I won't. But yeah, maybe let's do after you've seen the trailer. So we don't have our answers to this yet. What's one unanswered question you still have about Tears of the Kingdom, and what are you most excited about? Email us, toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. Don't include any of the art book leaks, or I will block you, and I'll be very mad at you. Just stuff that's been officially released only, so I don't see anything I don't want to see in that email.
He will stone cold stun you.
Yeah, we'll be done. I might cancel the show if any of you spoil Tears of the Kingdom for me. But yeah, send us that, toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com, or on Twitter @toadstoolbr. But that's going to do it for this week. Another episode of the Toadstool Boardroom in the books, a weekly Nintendo show here on Thursdays at noon Pacific on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to your show. There's also a video version on YouTube, so check us out there as well. But for now, you can find Chris online at
Drives93.
You can find myself at Logan J. Plant. Have a great week. We'll catch you next time right here in the Toadstool Boardroom.